everybody, welcome to my channel. My name's Mel. Thank you so much for joining me today for a Roll of Reads update video. So for those of you that don't know, the Roll of Reads game is my monthly TBR game that I play every single month to determine what books I'm going to read throughout the month. I was inspired to make this TBR game by Becca from Becca and the Books, and Jade from JD Reads, and Cody from Cody's Book Corner. So thank you all very much for inspiring me to create this monthly TBR game. So I've been playing this now for over a year and I feel like I keep making some changes, so because of that, and it's a new year, I thought that it would be worthwhile talking you through the game, how it works, and some of the new rules that I have created so that throughout 2022 I can refer you to this video so that you will understand what is going on. So I'm going to start with my game board, which I will input a video of here so that you can see what it looks like. But it is basically a board that has 20 places on the board. As you can see, on number 1 there's an arrow pointing down, and on number 20 there's an arrow pointing up. That is because 1 and 20 are two special places that get you either a punishment or a reward. So the reason for that is actually because I decided to base my gameplay and therefore the reward / punishment on a 20-sided dice, because I play D&D, and in D&D, in combat, if you roll a 20 or a crit, then that's fantastic. You double your attack, you double your damage. It's an excellent roll, everything's amazing. If you roll a 1, on the other hand, it's the opposite. It's a terrible roll. You probably fell over, or you dropped your sword, or something not great happened as a result of rolling a 1. So if I roll a 1, that I do the prompt, but also I then have to add another roll. So anytime I roll a 1, I could roll a string of 1s, I have to add another roll. However, if I roll a 20, then basically I get to do whatever I want in that space. So again, there'll be a card, I can do what's on the card, or I can entirely ignore that roll altogether because I already have too many rolls, or I can insert whatever I want here. I can use it as a mood read space, I can put a buddy read in there, whatever I want to do. So that's essentially very basically how it works. Like I said, there's 1 through 20 on the board. Like I just said as well, there are cards. So I have made myself some cards, which are these cards here. I have roughly 60 cards. I also have punishment cards, which are these ones with red. I have a few of those. I think I have about 20 of those. I probably need some more, so if you have any suggestions, please put that below as well. And so what happens is I shuffle the purple cards, the non-punishment cards, and I place out 20 cards on the board on the spaces. Now, if I didn't read any books from the previous month, then the number of books that I have is the number of punishments I have to do, and that's where the punishment cards come into it. So like I said, I have about 20 punishment cards and they get put in as well. What I'm going to do in 2022 ongoing is that, let's say I didn't read 3 books, so I have to have 3 punishments. Then what I will do is I will take my 20-sided dice at the beginning of putting all the cards out, and I will roll the dice 3 times. So I'm going to do it now, but you won't see the roll, but I'm going to do it and then show you. So let's say I roll and I get 15. Then I place a punishment card on 15, roll again, and I get an 8. So I place a punishment card on 8, and so on. And then throughout the game, every time I pick up a card, then I replace it with a card. So if it's a non-punishment, then I replace it with a non-punishment. If it's a punishment, then I replace it with a punishment. Now on the cards are different prompts. Things like indie or self-published book, a pretty cover, Islamic inspired. So I have a whole bunch of different prompts that will give me a different prompt that I then use to pick a book. I do have things like join an online book club, my own last to read book club, and that sort of thing as well. And yeah, different prompts that look at diversity and different things like that. My punishment prompts are things that are, I mean, it's still all supposed to be fun. So things like read the longest book on your TBR, read a book over 500 pages long, read a book you're not really in the mood for, all of that sort of thing. So it's not necessarily completely terrible, but you get the general idea. Another thing that I have changed is how many rolls I do. In 2021, I was rolling a 12-sided dice, and then that would determine how many rolls I then did to get the prompts. But in 2022, I've decided to roll an 8-sided dice. The reason for that is because I love doing buddy reads, and I often set the buddy reads before I do the game, because I try to do the game at the end of every single month so that I can see if I've got any punishments, etc. There's also, like I said, different book clubs that I like to join, my own book club. These books don't necessarily fit into the prompts, and so they get stacked on top of the prompts, and I'm just finding that, let's say I've got my own book club, my BookTube book club, my In Real Life book club, Chloe's Crime Scene Corner, which I've been joining in quite a bit of, a buddy read. Yeah, so let's say I've got 4 books that I have to read for those various reasons, and then I roll the 12 on a 12-sided dice. That's 16 books. I'm just not going to read 16 books. I mean, I know we love the punishments, it's fun, it's silly, etc., but it's just a stress that I don't necessarily need. I'm more than happy to do the punishments. I do enjoy it. I think it's fun, but yeah, it's just a stress that I don't really need to add to my months, because reading is supposed to be fun. The game's supposed to be fun. So 8 as a maximum is something that is closer to what I'm going to be able to read, and then if I add, say, another 4, that's 12. I can potentially, I wouldn't necessarily always read 12 books a month, but I could potentially be more likely to read 12 books a month. It does also give me space to read some of those bigger books. I started doing the Reel of Time read-along. I'm not sure what's happening with that, but I still would really like to reread that series, and those are quite big, hefty books that take me a while to get through. I started reading the Stormlight Archive last year as well, and just haven't gotten back to that series. So there's a lot of books, or series actually, that have quite big books that I'd like to read, but I don't necessarily, because of what I've been doing and how many books I end up with, and then if I have punishments, etc., they don't necessarily fit in. So I'd like to leave space for that as well. But also, you know, I am a mood reader as well. So, I mean, it's not necessarily, I could roll an 8 and then have 4. Like I said, I could end up with 12 books on my TBR. I could also end up with 2 books on my TBR. And doing the 8-sided dice rather than 12 just gives me more flexibility, and it's just more manageable for me. So, what happens with the gameplay? Basically, I have the board, I get my punishment cards and my non-punishment cards, I figure out how many punishments I need to add, I figure out where they'll be spaced, I place the punishment cards, so I shuffle those punishment cards and place those, then I shuffle the non-punishment cards and place those, and that's when I roll my 8-sided dice to determine how many rolls I then have to do. Let's say, for example, I roll it, I get a 6, that's 6 rolls, but throughout the gameplay, if I roll a 1, then I have to add a roll. I also have to add a roll if I roll the same number 3 times. So if I roll a 6 3 times throughout the gameplay, then I add a 1 as well. So again, as you can see, it could end up being quite a lot of rolls. So let's say I start with 6, my first roll is a 1, that's 7, then I roll 3 3s, that's 8, etc. So like I said, I do those rolls, I use my 20-sided dice to roll each prompt, I then have a look at the prompt, and then I use the prompt to decide what book I'm going to read. So that's how my TBR game works, and the punishments and all of that sort of thing. Regarding the actual prompts themselves, most of them are reading specific prompts, but there are a few, like I have a take off a roll, which is to combat the adding on rolls for the punishments, but then some of the punishment cards are to add rolls as well. I also have some things like timed writing stints and different things like that. So most of them are book-based, but some of them are a little bit different as well. Again, just to give me something a little bit different and extra to do throughout the month. So you will be seeing this video, and then the next day, tomorrow, you will be seeing my January roll of reads. Because it's a new year, I have some new rules. I'm starting completely fresh, so my January roll of reads will have no punishments. It will not roll over from December or anything in 2021. So yeah, it'll be completely punishment-free, completely fresh, and then it will go from there. So yeah, that's how everything works. I don't think I've forgotten anything. I'm pretty sure that's everything you need to know to enjoy my roll of reads. So that is the game that I play, like I said, every single month to determine what I'm going to read each month. If you have any thoughts, if you have any suggestions, or any comments you'd like to make, I do always love getting new prompts. So if you have any prompt suggestions, then comment that as well. Anything you'd like to talk to me about, please put all of that in the comments below. If you'd like to leave me a comment but you don't know what, then leave me a dice emoji because we roll dice to figure out my TBR. All of my social media details are listed in the description below, so if you'd like to go and follow me on any of those other platforms, please feel free to do so. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I would absolutely love it if you would subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up. And yeah, like I said, thank you so much for watching. I really do hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time.